Welcome to round 5 of the historic Hastings, 99th Hastings International. We are going to look at the games from this tournament, and then we will also pop into the Wilton Cup, which is happening in Sweden, which has some notable English names in there. So we're going to do a combined stream. Matthew, hello. I thought we might start with a interesting looking game, Stanley Badicioni against Stephen Gordon.
Indeed, although it's only just started, so we're still obviously very much in the early stages of theory. So Stanley's been obviously we know him as a Jabava London system player, which for those who want to know what that is, it's this system like this. But he's been playing a lot more d4 c4 recently. And in particular, this Rubinstein Nimzo Indian, which I played a lot as a professional player. He's played Bishop d2, which is kind of trendy at the moment. But he's also played Bishop d3, which is the old line that I used to play. And well, Stevie Gordon has. I mean, Black's got a vast amount of choices in this position. The most popular nowadays, I think, being the Karpov system, which in principle is pretty decent for Black. Stevie Gordon has played knight c6 in this position, which can be many things actually. A3 is the normal move for White, and then Black's got several possibilities. Bishop takes c3 and Queen c7 is the old main line, the really old main line that they played in the 1950s and 60s. Spassky was
too old for either player.
Sorry?
Too old for either player here.
Too old for either player. Actually, another very interesting system is Bishop A5, which is the Larsen system, which has probably never become that popular, but it's actually a very decent system as well. Stanley, however, has played the rather unusual D takes c5 in this position. And well, it's going to be interesting to see how Stevie Gordon reacts to that.
And he might be just looking to try and get to an end game as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, you can actually you can actually get it in this position as well. D takes c5. Funnily enough, and you know what normally happens then is that Black will take on c3, and actually having the pawn on a3 in this position is not such a great thing. Because you might want to play the bishop to a3 to defend the pawn at some stage. And also having the pawn on a3, it does weaken those squares, and knight a5 is quite a common move for Black. So actually, presumably, the idea is that, you know, if Black goes bishop takes c3, this is probably a decent version of that Larsen system endgame. But of course, you know what, Black does get the possibility to play bishop takes c5. But I mean, what we've got there, in actual fact, it's very much like a Queen's Gambit accepted. Let me just show you what I mean. This is a very common position. I mean, it was originally thought just to be a total draw, but players like Kramnik and Bareyev played this for the win. So it looks very much like this somehow, you know, the current position that we've got. So, you know, White might have some possibilities. Normally, they used to say that having the knight on c3 in these sort of end games, if you were to go something like takes and bishop c5, they said normally having the knight on c3 was not that great, but White players have come up with an awful lot of interesting plans in this position. The other thing you might claim is that for Black has not played a6, so this slight weakening of the queenside dark squares, which is often exploited in the Queen's Gambit accepted, it won't be exploited here. It sort of swings and roundabouts, really. But you can see that a few strong players have played this as White, although not really with any, you know, great success somehow. But
everything's just a draw. Indeed. Well, maybe Stanley just realizes that and.
Well, I mean,
a lot of chess. I'll have a draw here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to to put that onus onto the opponent,
Yeah.
and say, well, I'm going for a slight edge. I've got an idea for a plan. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what the normal plans are here, but one idea taken from the Queen's Gambit accepted would be to go here and then play like this with the pieces. So knight goes to b3, bishop goes to f3, knight goes to a4, and you aim for the c5 square, possibly with bishop d2, rook c1. I mean, if you've got a nice scheme really in mind, for these sort of positions, it can, you can get a lot of moves in quickly and play them quite well. So b3 is another idea of playing. Maybe bishop e2 is quite a nice way to start. It's very flexible. So I mean, lots of different possibilities there. But interesting. Stevie Gordon's played bishop c3, b takes c3, and now, well, actually, to be honest, if you're looking at the Masters database, you're seeing it's 3.5 out of 4. So it's quite, it's not quite the same somehow.
Is that top one looks like Matthew Turner against Romain Edouard?
Romain Edouard. So that's Queen A5 is what most people have played with black. Knight E4 presumably would also be a possible move, forking 2 pawns. Though the one you'd only ever really want to take is that one. If you take on C3, you open up the long diagonal for this dark squared bishop. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Stanley's only beaten one grandmaster, hasn't he? So far, or at least on Talented Tuesdays, we saw his.
On Talented Tuesdays, that's right. I think he's beaten 2, hasn't he? I think he beat another one recently.
He's beaten another one since. Okay,
I've got the strange feeling, but
well, but if he wins this, it's still going to be a very big thing.
Wait a minute. Actually, Stevie Gordon didn't go bishop c3. He played bishop takes c5 here, and Stanley played the move h3 here.
Okay,
which is Now, I think this
is a novelty.
And novelty. I think this is a sort of a little bluff from Stanley, maybe, because this move h3 is kind of really only useful if you want to play e4, and if black doesn't exchange off the queens, so he's maybe Stanley might be looking to play the move e4, e5. You don't normally do this when you've exchanged off queens, I have to say, but he might be going for that. He might be going for it. h3, queen d1, rook d1, and then if you go bishop d7, he'll go e4, and try and get an e5, which would be, nasty for the rook somehow. That's possible, maybe. Maybe that's what he's.
A smiley face.
I'm just actually wondering whether haven't we seen Stanley doing something similar to this before? I've got the funny feeling I've seen this before, but anyway, I'm not sure. But anyway, I think that's the idea. So maybe Stanley's looking for a more aggressive plan with e4 to e5, maybe even when the queens get exchanged. So, but it's quite unusual, as I said, in these. It's not the normal sort of plan that you play in these queenless middle games, but it might be interesting. I mean, what can black do? I mean, black has got various things he could do. I mean, you could play, if you want to keep the queens on, I mean, you could play a move like queen c7, for example. You're slightly exposed to that one, but you just move out of the way and then hit white back, and that would not be silly, I think. And the point is, I'm putting a queen on c7, because if you go e4, then I'm already teeing up on the dark squares here, and I might play a6 then, just to keep my queen safe there, put my bishop on there, and look for b5, bishop b7, for example, which is looks very similar to a Queen's Gambit position that I've played as black, in actual fact. So yeah, interesting concept from Stanley, and we'll see what Stevie Gordon comes up. But anyway, Stanley's played instantly, and Stevie Gordon is thinking, which I guess is pretty much what he was looking for as well.
A smiley face. I am the author of Game Changer, and so is Matthew. We both
Indeed.
are.
Absolutely.
Okay. Shall we move to? Should we see Simon Williams?
Oh, let's have a look at Simon. So Simon lost, unfortunately, that game. He was a bit worse in that end game and did not go well. But he's back in with the tromp. Did you see, by the way? I just ended up tweeting a little bit about it. But somebody played f4 against me in this position, which, truth be told, I thought was probably about the worst. What's the worst move I could think of in this position? And so we had a huge debate about it, and thanks to input from various people, including Levon Aronian, it was I think it was the tomahawk melted cake variation was the name that we came up for it, and I've forgotten quite how that came about. But anyway, that was the name of the variation, but it wasn't very good. I tried some engine games, and even Stockfish with white with 2 hours couldn't hold it. So it really is not a good move. But the only reason to the real reason to share it, to be honest, was to try and make Richard Palliser, who's written a book, on the Trompowsky, to make him feel that he'd missed out a variation in the in the lines. Very good book on the Trompowsky, by the way. Called The Tricky Tromp, he called it. And actually, he also looked at this move, h4. And he also looked at the very old move, bishop h4, which I used to love. Do you know this variation? It's you go g5, f3, gh, fe, c5. And one of the lines that you could play is this one. I remember seeing this on a chess diagram when I was little. And I was hooked straight away because it looks so crazy, But he found Richard found some very interesting things in those lines. But okay,
I think this h4 here, I think Julian Hodgson played it in a game against me. Yeah.
Now this is Julian's. This was Julian's line. By the way, I heard this a little while back. But do you know who gave Julian the idea for the Trompowsky?
Did she?
Sorry?
So that was my joke. Who gave, not who.
Oh.
Do I know who gave Julian the idea for the Trompowsky? Dave Norwood.
No. It was a group of Spanish players, amongst which Mikhail Lasker, who were playing the Trompowsky. And Julian was playing in a tournament in Spain, and he saw it and thought, "Oh, that looks fun." And the rest is history, really. It's but yeah, Sorry.
By then, can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you, Natasha. Sorry, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Did it already have the name Trompowsky at that stage?
Yes. I mean, what's his name? I forget his first name. It's not Otto Trompowsky. It's something like that. He was a well-known player. Not a very strong player, but sort of a, I guess, IM strength in the 1940s, 50s. Anyway, h4 played. That's Julian's. The idea, of course, is to turn that bishop on g5 into something pretty cool. So Black played the move c5, Simon played d5, and after d6, queen d3, which is, this position is not super well known, but if you look at the Masters database, you see Hodgson Ems, Hodgson Quinn, so games from 1992, so this is going back a few years. Yeah, c5 is less common against h4. I think the most, I mean, d5 is you see an awful lot of d5 nowadays, and queen b6 has been played a lot. You normally play that as a pawn sacrifice, just with knight d2, and just claim that you've got compensation. I don't know whether did Julian play any games with that. Have we got any of those? Yeah, we've got games of Julian here from 1993. Pretty much anything that, and also you see a Spanish player, Juan Manuel Belon Lopez, also from 1993.
As in, who's married to
husband of Pierre Cramling, father of Anna. Yeah, that's right. Very creative player. very good theoretician as well. So, but Queen D3 is an interesting move. I seem to remember seeing this in Richard's book, but I can't remember much more. Of course, what you're looking for, you're looking to force this really. Takes HG5, and then you've got first of all the threat of rook takes H7. I mean, another very dangerous thing that you've got when you've got the pawn on G5 is just this move G6.
Yeah.
So just and if black plays F takes G6 and the bishop is blocked, and so that's I mean, bishop F5 is possible as well, but we see Julian Hodgson against John Ems. G4 is possible, and that's what Jules did against John Ems there.
Okay.
I guess he went here and here, didn't he? Knowing Jules, yes, he did. There we are. So he did that, and I mean, I'm guessing this. I mean, this looks generally quite appalling for black, I have to say.
Could you take on?
Yeah, you can take on G5, but I'll take on G6.
What if you take on F2?
Well, if you take on F2 straight away, I'll go Queen B5 check and giggle at you. However, it looks like John played Queen A5 check, and then Jules played Bishop D2. Oh yeah, I think I remember this game actually. Knight takes D2, and then Queen takes D2, takes, and then Knight takes D2. Why Knight takes D2? Oh yes, of course, King takes D2. Sorry, he goes Bishop E4 and wins that pawn. So he went Knight takes D2, Bishop takes C2, and now B3. And I think that bishop was trapped, or pretty much. Because if H6, we play E4 and then go Rook C1.
Gosh. I like the name here, the Raptor variation.
The Raptor, yeah, that's right.
Nice,
H4.
scary name.
That's the Raptor variation. So there's plenty. I mean, if black doesn't know it, and I get the feeling black doesn't, then there is plenty to worry about there. So I think we're expecting a pretty good fun Simon game in this game today, I think.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. How about Danny Gormally with white playing against
Danny, yes.
David Fry. Danny's playing a very calm, restrained opening there. Just a Queen's Indian. C takes D5, E takes D5. I've said this so often now recently, I feel that these lines are not really supposed to be that amazing for black, or they were never supposed to be, to play this sort of D5 structure with the pawn on B6 and the bishop on B7, simply because you've got the open C file, and it's much stronger to have a pawn on C6 and a pawn on B7. You're just seeing it so often. I get the feeling that it must have been recommended somewhere, because I mean, there's just too many black players just doing this almost as a matter of course somehow. But I do like.
Who plays it then? If you just scroll to the top games, just down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at on the black side, it's not super strong players, right? It's it's not the Aronians and the Carlsons, put it that way. I mean, somebody like Keith is not so theoretical somehow, and well, I mean, some strong players, but when they were much younger, Alex Lenderman would have been very young in 2009, Suleimani as well. I don't know. I mean, these are not. It's not Blackney, but Blackney played everything more or less. Lots of dubious systems as well. It's not really the it's not big theory players somehow. So but yeah, I mean, it's not hugely. It's not like it's easy to break through or anything. It's got the risk of being rather passive, I think. But we're interested to see how Danny plays. Obviously, Danny's quite an aggressive attacking player, so this might just be a sort of the general feeling might be, okay, well, we'll just play solidly and see what he comes up with. Not necessarily so easy to attack, at the moment. One idea often is to try and get a pawn on B4 and clamp down on the C6 pawn. Make it a long-term a long-term weakness. You can play knight e5 and e4, but you've got to watch out that that doesn't just liquidate everything. That is, you know, that is definitely possible. That can happen. Another idea you can play is the idea of going knight h4 into f5. Maybe you know, extract a g6 from black and then just move the knight back. You know, just claim that if you force g6 out, then that's a bit of a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, a bit of a slower game there.
Can we look at Aditya on board 13?
Oh, 12. Yeah, so Aditya had a very good
against an IM. Oh, Attila, the young Turkish
IM. Young Turkish player had a very good result. Aditya drawing with Danny Gormali in the previous round. So here we've got quite interesting, actually, was a classical Sicilian. Not very common, the classical Sicilian, I have to say, nowadays. Very few players who actually play it. There is a course by Sam Shankland on Chessable, quite a big course. I don't know whether Sam is a big classical player or not. It used to be, I think, Kramnik used to play it back in the day. But in general, you know, the Najdorf and the Sveshnikov and other systems have become more popular. I always found it a bit difficult to handle with black. I once went through a course by Mihai Marin on it as well, which was very interesting, but again, yeah, I don't know, just something about having this knight on c6, these knights always getting exchanged, always feels like I've got way less play with black than I would have in a Najdorf. You know, that's the thing. But anyway, a6 played, queen d3, bishop d7. These positions which we get in this game, actually, where you get these double pawns, they're also a bit of an acquired taste as well. I always find them quite difficult to handle. But okay, king b1, e6, f4, fairly normal moves here. b5 played, takes, knight e2, that's quite common. White moves this knight from c3 to d4, and then we'll prepare. We'll try at some stage to play f5 and try and weaken those dark squares. Try and move that e6 pawn onto e5 and then get hold of the light squares there. Although it's never clear how good that is. So b4, knight d4, and now this interesting move, bishop b7. And very often you sort of stay with the bishop on d7 to sort of guard this square. So bishop b7 feels a little bit funny, but I'm not sure that it is. It just feels funny to me. Bishop b2 is a very typical move, and what black desperately does not want to allow is the bishop coming to h5. It's covered by the queen at the moment, but it's a very unpleasant move, just pinning something down to the defense of the f7 square. So h5 is a very common idea from black, just to stop that from happening.
Right, yeah. And
then white plays bishop f3 here. So just vague ideas of here, maybe ideas of f5. One thing that you'll notice actually is that, you know, black played this move b4, and it kind of looks a bit weakening, really. It sort of feels like it weakens some light squares. However, what it is doing is that if white goes f5 and black then plays e5, which will probably be more or less forced, this knight doesn't have an easy path to the d5 square, because you can't go knight e2 to f4 because the pawn on e5 is stopping it, and you can't go knight e2 to c3 because the pawn on b4 is stopping it. So those sort of prongs like that, you know, are making it more difficult. There is one path to the d5 square, and it's via e3. So I mean, you could sort of play this very long maneuver, you know, around here. But obviously,
I suppose you could do it via b3 and get a tempo on the.
You could as well, yeah. You could go b3, d2, c4, e3, d5. That's another one. Sort of a W, isn't that really? Yeah, that's sort of. But it's never. It's never very, very clear. I mean, these positions are very difficult to handle. The Croatian player Zdenko Kozul was big expert in these positions, but I think Ivan Sokolov called this variation. He called it Kozul's. Kozul's sorrow, I think. That was it, because as well as many beautiful games, he'd also lost a lot of terrible ones as well.
Oh, right.
It's
Yeah.
that sort of variation, basically. So I'm not sure, normally speaking, it would be the type of variation I'd really recommend to a growing young player. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's funny how things go. A player just gets a feel for a variation, and stuff that that for me seems very risky. For another player, it just seems completely natural. So yeah, quite.
Chat is suggesting Queen B3 as a plan for white.
Queen B3 is quite
I guess
interesting. Yeah.
sack on E6, is that the plan?
Yeah, sack on E6 maybe, and also have a little look on that pawn. I think at some stage, Black's going to play the queen somewhere, most likely B6 or C5 is a very common square for the queen, and castling queenside is also going to happen. When knight E6 hopefully will be less dangerous. But now the fact that you played B4 so early, you've got to watch out a little bit, because if you castle queenside, white could play a rook C1 and C3 and just open up the position. And obviously with the bishop pointing here as well, I think white's definitely got some ideas of that. So probably black's going to be thinking more about putting a rook on C8 and leaving the king in the center for the moment. But it's tricky. There's always so many things to think about with black. I find these positions quite difficult to assess properly, But we'll see how it goes for Aditya.
Yes. Okay.
Shall we have a look at the top board? Just
yes.
Top cover boards. Just having because this was quite unusual, I have to say.
And should we pop over to the Wilton Cup in a second?
We can do that. So this was a Caracan, and after bishop f5, white played the move g4, which I've been playing a little bit in Blitz actually. So quite a fun line. Black played the move bishop e4. I mean, funnily enough, lots of people have been playing the bishop back to g6 straight away, which I thought was a well-known error. I thought you were really always supposed to play the bishop to e4. But yeah, as always with modern chess, opinions have now got divided on that. Bishop d7 is also a possibility. I'm pretty sure that Yasser Seirawan always did it this way. Now I'm seeing
if we scroll down to the games, maybe we'll see some of yours.
Yeah. No. This is not in. This is the Masters database, so I'm certainly not in there. But you see Yasser Seirawan playing the bishop d7 move. The idea being that you're going to aim to maybe undermine this g4 pawn, and then when the g4 pawn moves or takes the h pawn, you get the bishop back here afterwards. But yeah, bishop e4 played, f3, bishop g6, and now the most common move is to play e6 in this position. When you're trying to block in black's king side there, and black normally plays the move queen d6, and then you get this e takes f7, bishop f7, which is quite an unclear position. And white's got a few ideas: knight c3, f4 as well, just trying to clamp down on here. Very interesting system for white, to be honest. Always surprised it's not played more often than it is. But what white did here was something very unusual. He played the move f4. We've only got 3 games here in the Masters database. Probably League Chess, we've got thousands. 207,000 in the League Chess database. But yeah, Masters database, not very many here. And after black played e6, and now a very interesting move. I mean, white played the move h4. And kind of the thing that you're saying is, what would you do if black played the move h5?
Yeah.
What would you do now?
I guess what are we trying to do? You'd be trying to do f5, but I can't see that it works.
Yeah, I think that white's idea would be to play f5, e takes f5, and then g5.
Okay.
With the idea of playing knight h3 into f4.
Yeah.
I've seen this idea. It's not supposed to be very good, to be honest. So I'm a little bit surprised to see white playing it, but that's the only thing I can think of that white might try. But black played the move bishop e4, which is just trying to get ahead of them, actually. So knight f3 and then h5. And well, here white played something quite interesting. I mean, what black's hoping for, of course, black says, well, f5 doesn't have any sense now because my bishop's active.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you go g5, then I'm laughing at you because of all the weak light squares. But white played knight bd2. And the idea is, of course, if hg, I go knight e4. And whatever you do, I'll probably come here and I'll claim I've got the bishop pair, which is an undeniable claim. So black played bishop f3. We're still following a master game here by quite strong players. Hg, queen g4, knight h6, queen g2. Queen g2 is now a novelty. Queen g1 was played by white, which is not silly, I would have thought, to protect the pawn. Because if he went knight f5, I could probably play h5 now. But white played the move queen g2, which is a novelty, which is also losing a pawn here. But now knight h4, takes, bishop d2. And the speed at which white has played this...
Yeah, white knows this, and black
indicates that white knows this. Now, I'm interested. Is this... Well, we've got something in the Lee Chess database. Thomas Shelby against Towser. Thomas Shelby obviously will be a very dangerous opponent. You could imagine. Yeah, interesting. So a recent game in the Lee Chess database. I'm just having a look at how many. No, just and there's this Vladislav Sidorov who's had this twice as black. Yeah, I don't know, not very much basically, but it seems that like white here is ready and willing to play this. So quite interesting. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to see whether is there a way to let me just copy the PGN and then just see whether this has been played at all in any correspondence games. Always intrigued by this, you know, whether there's something like that. But I would have thought most probably not. No, nothing like that. So Lord knows where he's got this from somehow. But or whether it's just you know, whether he is. I guess he would be Thomas Shelby, you know, or whatever. But he's obviously happy to give up a pawn here. I mean, I'm kind of slightly confused, I suppose. But I mean, I suppose you could imagine that there would be some counterplay. I mean, we've got f5 ideas. So I mean, if I go, for example, knight d7, let's say knight d7, then I'll go castle queenside. Rook h1 looks quite sensible. Queen h1, and now, yeah, I mean, you know, you've got ideas like bishop d3, f5. If g6, then queen h7.
You want to go queen h8 and pin the bishop.
Well, I mean, we're going to play. I mean, this was a Lee Chess Blitz game, which, to be honest, looks quite sensible to me. Queen b6, because the idea is queen h8. I'll just go castles, and then I'll be threatening bishop a3. You know, so that would be a bit risky. We've got queen b6. We've got f5 played in this Lee Chess game. Not 100% sure about that. To be honest, I'd be vaguely thinking about playing a move like c3. And if castle's playing queen h5 here, because it's quite hard to defend this pawn on f7. You know, g6, I go queen h7, for example. And if you go, yeah, I mean, you can't actually defend this one very easily, and g6 and e6 are going to be weak. So that would be f5 looks quite violent. Castle queenside was played. I guess that black was worried that here you would get hit by bishop g5, which I think is indeed worthy of worry. So black played the move castles, and then f takes e6, fe6, and bishop g5 played. Oh my goodness, that was sneaky. Oh God. With the idea of rook e8, queen h5, and the rook is trapped. Ah, good Lord. So that is a real, now there's some definite cunning behind this somehow. So yeah, I mean, it could be maybe that maybe you'd say that that G6 would be the most sensible here. With the idea of, that if you go, I mean, white maybe plays bishop D3, and then maybe black should play queen E7 and castle and, keep it tight at the back like that. But I mean, it's clear. I mean, that white's got reasonable compensation there, for the pawn, a reasonable amount of play. But you would have thought that black would be able to, to keep it tight at the back and put it all together. But
black's
intrigued.
probably scared because the guy's reeled out a whole stack of theory.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's what he's keeping on going like that, and
they're both German players, aren't they? They've probably played.
Yeah, that's right. So quite interesting. Quite interesting. I mean, you could also think of maybe playing the knight to A6.
Oh, and they're both born in 2008. They're probably like really good friends traveling to Hastings together.
Yeah, maybe, or, you never know. Maybe they've had countless blitz games in this as well.
It could be they themselves have played this, loads of times.
Indeed. So I think that after Queen B6, that's I think Rook H1 was a novelty, yeah, even on Lichess as well. But Queen B6 played. I guess that castles is going to happen. I guess that white's going to throw this in regardless. Now, bear in mind that the bishop A3 does not work. It would be nice if it did, but there's always the move C3 in these cases, which would win. So. But I think that I would expect castles now to be played, and well, I mean, maybe this is a crucial line simply. I mean, Queen E5 looks a little bit worrying, really. Obviously Queen E6, I've got Rook E1, and F takes E6, Rook E1 as well. That looks incredibly. I mean, it really looks like it could go very badly wrong for black. You could go E takes F5, I suppose, and maybe we just throw in E6 just for the sheer hell of it, and then ask black what he's going to do. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not 100% sure that this is. How would this be? We can go bishop G5. I go queen C5, queen check, king D7, queen check, king there. Rook E1, I've got queen D6. I've got bishop H3 maybe, with the idea of takes, and takes there. I don't know. Crazy stuff. White has played castles with no thinking whatsoever. So daring black.
Still in theory. Shall we hop across to?
Absolutely. Let me just get the
before that all finishes.
Let me just get the link. There we are. Yeah. Let me wait a minute. I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping there and just make sure I've got all the links I need. Hopefully you're not seeing anything of what I'm doing. I'm just starting up some stuff there, so that should all be fine. Right, and then let me just get the Rilton Cup.
So we've got like on consecutive. And Jonah on 18.
Indeed. So let's go through them one by one, I guess. So Amit is black against the Greek FM Vasilos Dim. It won't be Dim. That won't be his real name. It'll be Dimitrios, I guess, probably. Vasilios Dimitrios Katsanis. I will have to say, by the way, I don't know whether you had a look at the chess results page, but there are so many young players in that tournament.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, it has age bands, doesn't it? Like under 12s, under 16.
Yeah, I mean, Socrates is playing an IM, but this guy is under 16. So
yes.
Very, very interesting. So this is a very interesting position, I have to say. So black will probably put the bishop back on D7, and then white will take on F8, and yeah, this is a very interesting position. I mean, white's got rook and pawn for 2 pieces. But it's, you know, it's knight and bishop, not 2 bishops, so that's already a good thing. And somehow the current pawn structure is a bit ropey for black. You know, both the bishop and the knight are very much restricted by these pawns, and white's got entry into the c7 square. I'm not saying that white's better here, but I would say that black's got some serious work to do to try and make sure the position doesn't collapse somehow. Obviously, what you'd really love is to get a knight onto d6. I mean, if this guy moves here, then everything sort of holds together. You can hold your e5 pawn with f6. The pawn on b7 is held. c8 is, you know, is sort of nicely covered. You can bring your king to d8 to challenge c7. You're sort of all in control. And
you
then
might
maybe
even bring your rook. Oh, would you bring it that way? I was thinking you could, like, say you went knight into d6. If you went a bit later, but via e8, could you bring your rook across to like g6 and play that?
Yeah, you could as well. Well, it's just that b2 is a lovely little target, you know, with being held down by the pawn on a4. The question is, can you get any of this done somehow? I would sort of, I mean, if you go queen f8, I think queen c7 is just picking up the pawn. That's why what's worrying me somehow. And 2 pawns would be a lot, right? And if you get b7, then your rooks get active. So I think you have to take with the king. It's going to have to happen. But now the question is how, you know, I mean, a move like queen c7, I don't think is dangerous. I mean, I think you just come here and you will bring your king over to here and you'll be fine. I mean, you'll be fine as long as a move like f4 doesn't work. Because obviously ef e5 would be looks kind of worrying. The big trick being that if you go bishop b5, you know, where you think, oh, well, I'm hitting the rook, maybe I'm going to survive that. We go e takes f6, bishop b5, rook c8, checkmate.
Oh, that's no good.
So that's not, but I would have thought that f4 would not be, probably you could maybe put bishop b5 earlier.
So Amit, he's been playing really well recently, hasn't he? Because he had a very good British, if I recall right.
He had a good British, had a good British.
But then even more recently, he won, or he was equal first, wasn't he, in the classic?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he came very close to winning it outright. Actually, you know, he came desperately close to winning in the penultimate round as well. So no, he's. But
he had to settle with sharing with Pragnananda.
Indeed. I mean, it has to happen. You just have those down moments in your career, don't you? Really. It's, but yeah, king f8. So queen c7. I think black's going to manage to hold that, although it's more dangerous than you might think somehow. Even this looks quite. Even this requires some care, I think. I'm wondering about bishop b5, but yeah, I mean, takes ef. Would be clever, but you've got rook takes f6 and you're covering. Although actually, no, I can go. Oh golly, I could go e5 and d6 here. King e8. We're probably going to be okay here. But it's scary somehow, yeah. But even queen c7 is scary. But we might try and throw in a little queen c5 check here.
Okay.
And now what?
Which way? We're going to come out into the open bravely. King e8. Oh, queen there. Okay.
I mean, king e7 is possible. I was a little bit worried about queen c7 then. Because I'm a bit worried if I go something like bishop e8, you know, which you sort of say, I mean, I can just take and come check and then win that pawn, which, you know, obviously I don't want. And I'm a bit worried that after moves like b5, then I'm going to start. I'm coming in with my rook somehow, you know, and there might be even something better. I mean, maybe queen b8 is sort of very strong as well, you know, with a very quick rook c7 or rook c8. So I'm a little bit nervous about that one. I'm a bit nervous about putting the king to g8 away from there, but I'm also very nervous about playing the king to d6. I think the basic conclusion is that I'm rather nervous in this position.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I mean, one thing you would have is the move queen b6 here. So, you know, okay, your king's in the center, but you do have queen b6 to swap off the queens.
Yeah.
And if you were to play a move like f4, I don't know how good that is, but I mean, I could have, at the very least, I could have there and then knight e4. So no, I'd be getting away with that. So maybe queen c5, king e8 would be possible, because queen b4, I'd go queen b6 check again, you know, and so that may be possible. Maybe that move queen b6 is gonna save you somehow. I mean, Amit's having a good think about which piece to take with on f8, but I think it's got to be king f8. I think this queen b6 move is very important. I think I do need to go for that. It's a bit of a nervy position, you know, from my point of view, I think. But maybe Black's, you know, okay. And, you know, long term, if Black can sort of establish himself, then there's plenty of hopes, you know, for some good grinding there, simply, you know. So again, I mean, it's got a bit more time as well. So yeah.
So Amit's opponent is in the under 16 category as well.
It's really, it's just a junior tour. It's just a very strong junior tournament, you know. Let's have a look at Socrates. So he's white against something like a 16-year-old, I think.
Yeah, so Socrates 11, if I'm remembering right, and his opponent must be. Oh, I can look up his opponent, but anyway, in the other.
Yeah. So this is Socrates been playing a lot of bishop b5 check. He played it against. We saw a game against Peter Roberson in the London Classic, and I think Peter Roberson played the knight d7, which is the sharpest, and Socrates played an unusual move, takes and then knight takes d4, which well, I'm saying it's very unusual. It isn't. Oh no, it's been played quite a bit. Queen d4 is somehow the move I've seen much more often. But okay, knight d4. It's just a bit weird because, you know, Black plays a6, and then you play the bishop back to d3, and it's just you feel like you're giving a knight off to white to Black for free somehow. You know, it's just a little bit strange. But the idea, of course, is that white has the possibility of playing c4, which you wouldn't have in a normal open Sicilian, because you would have played the knight to c3.
Smiley face is saying, if you see a child in chess, then run.
Indeed.
I actually really like playing against the kids now. I don't mind to like if I'm playing against an adult, I sometimes I really want to win. Whereas if I play against a kid, I want to win, but I also want them to win somehow. So I don't mind it so much.
I think you've got to have some sort of healthy attitude. You've got to develop some sort of healthy attitude, I think, nowadays, because, you know, I think when we grew up, I certainly often felt that I was one of the very few kids playing in tournaments, you know, somehow. So, but now, you know, you're going to be playing kids all the time. There can be lots of them. It's not just one round. It's going to be lots of rounds. So,
yeah, and fewer adults playing because they're all scared.
Indeed.
When I say they're all scared, I mean we're all scared.
Yeah. You know, so I think you've got to have a good, healthy attitude to playing kids. I think nowadays, or yeah, competitive chess is just not going to be much fun. I think, or, you know, over the board chess, you know, it's not going to be that much fun. Knight c6 played. Seeing this more and more, actually, I think people are playing it, you know, as a sort of with the idea of it's slightly less well explored nowadays, and was popular in the 90s. I mentioned a few times Sergei Tadyakov played this quite a bit. So, but we saw a few games at Hastings as well like this. Actually, we saw the game, the young Turkish player against the top seed, the top French seed, Laurent Pauli. So knight d4. Rook c8, and b3 was played. B3 was played. This was the game against what actually happened here. It was knight c3 was played in that game. E6, h3, knight f6, takes, and knight d5. You know, we spent a long time, and Black played the unbelievably risky knight d7, b3. We spent a long time looking at this. Socrates has gone for the more positional approach, a little bit of a Maroczy bindy sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, this is very sensible. You know, it's very early knight d5 there, and Black sort of said, well, fine, then double up my f pawns. What do I care? I'll just go for the exchanges. And fairly sensible.
In an endgame. I mean, I would say this is a little bit better for white because the doubled f pawn, and also that d pawn to me looks a bit weak.
Should be a little bit better for white, but without any minor pieces, it's kind of tough to to get a grip of it. For the moment, it's still kind of unclear. Whether black's going to get a grip, or whether white's going to get a grip, or whether black's going to be able to play one of his freeing breaks somehow. So using a lot of time in this position. I don't think he's quite. Doesn't have a good. Really, what you'd like to do, you'd like to cover this f pawn with f3, and in order to be able to sit on the d6 pawn. But it's kind of tough to achieve it at the moment. If you played f3, you get hit by f5 very quickly.
You've got to get your king out of the way first before.
Yeah, that's right. But even when you get the king out of the way, f5 is possible because the rook's hanging. So.
Yeah.
And if you move the rook off there in order to protect it, then d5 might happen. It's kind of tough to get this really moving somehow.
Yeah.
So I think Siegbert probably I get the feeling he's probably struggling a little bit to find a good active plan there.
Mm-hmm.
But position looks about balanced to me.
Okay.
Then we've got Jonah Willow against Timo Kuipers or Kuipers in Dutch. It would be a Kuipers or something like that, but this is a German, so it'd be Kuipers, I guess.
Yeah.
So what did Jonah do? Jonah played this line c3, knight f6, and black trying to turn it back into a c3 Sicilian. But Jonah played bishop d3, d5, e5, knight d7, bishop c2, and you're aiming to play d4 here and have some sort of French structure where you've already got your bishop on the long diagonal. Could be good, could be bad. You're never quite sure. But black decided that you weren't going to get that. You're going to play the move. You're going to play d4 here and stop white from getting in. This reminds me very much of. I once witnessed a game. Actually, I once witnessed a weekend in France where John Nunn, who was still playing at the time, it must have been 1999 or something like that. Basically, more or less just before I gave up chess, he took part in two of the most brilliant games I've ever seen. One he lost to as white to Igor Nataf, the French player, very brilliant French player. Totally crazy guy who sacked everything in the Kalashnikov to beat John, and John was just astounded. Basically, he couldn't believe what had happened to him tactically. He just couldn't believe it, and it was a great game. And then in the next game, he was very happy again, John, because he beat Norman Mises, quite a strong Latvian player. In a variation very similar to this, in an absolutely brilliant game as well. So if anyone wants to look it up, these two games, Nunn Nataf and Nunn Mises, both from about 1998, 1999, definitely worth watching.
I think Mises is playing on the seniors circuit as well. I wonder if those two see each other still.
Oh yeah, it could be. I played Mises in the 2014 Tromsø Olympiad, and I ground him down very nicely in round 4. I think that brought me to 4 out of 4. It was slightly embarrassing though, because he carried on for so long, way past the point where he should have resigned, that at some stage he seemed to mumble something, and I sort of said, "Oh, thank you very much," and went to shake his hand, and it turned out that he hadn't resigned. So he was. Oh, no. He then got unbelievably upset with me for that as well. But there we are. That was that's my recollection of Mises, and also that game against John Nunn. So now what the Doc played the bishop to e4 at some stage, but Jonah's gone for the lateral bishop a4, and the position has just got really bizarre. So queen c7 played, queen e2, and then black threw in d3, looking to try and liquidate this e pawn somehow. Wouldn't be so bad for white, but Jonah decided, no way, Jose, I'm going to play queen e4. So now this pawn is obviously long-term vulnerable, but of course, the whole queen side is kind of gummed up whilst that's happening. And then black decided, all right, you don't want to do that. So now he's playing g5.
What a game.
So, knight a3 played, a6 to stop it. And then Jonah decided that he was going to liquidate this, give black the double pawns. But of course, g4 is possible. Yeah. So rook e4 played to stop g4. Now black played a5, looking to play bishop a6. Knight e1, bishop a6, so looking to try and defend that one. And now Jonah's going to pick up that pawn with c4. Only kind of, yeah, I mean, it's hard to know whose position has been ruined more, basically, by all this.
I quite like White's position, except for that bishop stuck on c1, keeping the rook in.
Yeah, knight on a3 is not super. So black played knight b6, knight d3, and then castles. Knight e1, then decided to play rook d4. Okay. So hitting the rook, hitting this pawn. So that forces White to undouble the pawns.
Yeah.
And now I was thinking about d3 here, but Jonah's played the move b3.
Yeah.
And now h5 has been played by black. So essentially, this is looks like a convention of the confusing moves.
Yeah. White could put the knight in on d3 and the bishop on b2 and get the rook out, maybe.
Yeah, it's just that bishop b2 doesn't have much scope there. I would be sort of wondering about trying to put the bishop on d2, and I'm vaguely wondering about something like this, for example, and then trying to play a d3 and bishop d2 and attack this pawn.
Oh, and get that other knight round to b5, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah, but you've got to watch out a little bit because, this pawn is also a little bit isolated, and the knight can, easily come to d7 and attack it.
That's why I was thinking knight on d3, because then it can kind of defend.
Yeah, no, it's possible. It's possible. It's just I'm not quite sure. Yeah, your pieces, the rest of your pieces are looking a little bit passive, but maybe.
But if I manage to take that pawn on d4, then I'm happy.
But you won't manage to take the pawn.
I might go bishop b2.
Well, you are in tune with Jonah because he has gone knight d3, so you definitely get boasting rights there. Now, I mean, it's an interesting idea. I mean, what's White's one threat for White could be to play knight c2. Just say that we played some random move like h4, for example. Then knight c2, c5, and bishop a3. We're attacking this one, and we've also got the idea if you go knight d7 of going knight d4 and then grabbing that one. So that is a definite idea. What should black be doing here? One of the things that you've got here is that black could also does get the move knight d5 at some points. Because takes we can take here.
Yeah.
But okay, that's not 100% clear how good that actually is. But for example, after c5, if you were to go knight c2, I could try knight d5 because now I'm attacking this guy on c2.
c5 though, couldn't we then put the knight?
You could put the knight on b5. That is absolutely possible. We can again look to play the knight to d5 here. That's possible as well because takes we can take there. But maybe you could go knight d6 then, and that would actually isolate that pawn on c5. So yeah, this is possible. This is all possible. G4 is what black plays. Wow.
What's he trying to do?
I think probably after knight c2, he'll probably go rook d8, I think, most likely. He's probably not going to give you c5 too early. But I guess then we'll go bishop b2, and then if c5, bishop a3. So
is it terrible to put the moves in the other order? So for White to go bishop b2 before knight c2. And then
no, that's possible. Bishop b2 is possible.
And the idea is if they do c5, then we could still go to the knight e5 plan.
It's just I guess as long as you've got the knights on a3, then bishop a3 is always an idea as well. That is possible.
But then he's got to defend this one, right? He's got to go rook d8, let's say, to defend that d pawn.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you
then,
could go king B. You could go king B7 simply. You know, bishop B4, bishop
right.
A3. But okay,
Yeah.
I mean, then you'd go you know, knight
Then
C2,
we can do that.
and if
Yeah.
C5, then you could do this bishop A3, and again, you've got this
Yeah.
idea. The one thing I'm slightly wondering about is whether, for example, if you went rook C8, knight D4, whether you could go rook D8 and pin. But I
Mhm.
guess we've got knight C5 and takes here, and this is working. So I have to say G4 does not look like the move that I was
Yeah.
kind
It's
of
funny because
expecting.
it doesn't, like, what's he trying to do? Clear the G5 square for the bishop, is it?
I'm not sure. Yeah, he's maybe he's got some cunning sort of sideways, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay,
Knight
James
C2 from
yeah.
going. So I guess rook D8 now, but then bishop B2 attacking that one, and then if C5, then bishop A3, and it's kind of looking difficult. Knight D7, knight takes D4.
Yeah. Oh, and
I mean, I
then
guess you could go something
yeah,
like knight E5, knight E5, rook D4, but then we've got knight C6. Haha, choppy
yeah,
and takes that. Yeah,
that
it looks
looks good for white.
first sight is looking quite good for Jonah actually.
Yeah.
So yeah. I kind of liked the craziness that Black's doing, but actually maybe it's just dropping pawns now. Certainly G4 doesn't feel like the move that would have been, you know, that really is useful. You would have thought maybe something solid like rook D8 to D7, for example, just getting ahead a little bit of those threats might have been useful. But we'll see. We'll see that. But yeah, interesting. Just have a quick look at Supratit. Yeah, this is just a little bit worried about Supratit's time, but this I think is gonna. Oh, this was the variation we were looking at in actual fact.
Okay. Yes. We thought this
So,
was fine for Black, didn't we?
well, I mean, F4 was what we were looking at. Obviously, EF E5, Bishop B5, EF was the line that we saw.
Oh, we didn't like that.
No, we didn't like that. But after F4, we suggested Bishop B5 here.
Yeah.
With the idea of FE, Bishop F1, EF, rook takes F6.
Yes.
Covering everything. So that's possible, but there's quite a few dangerous possibilities here, I have to say. One idea you could play, maybe, crazily enough, would be to play the move trying all sorts of weird things somehow. I mean, D6 is quite interesting. With the idea is just Bishop F1, Rook check, and then D7, which would win. And the point is that if you went Rook D6, I'd go FE. And I'm sort of hoping that I'll get this basically again, because Bishop F1, I've got Rook C8
again. Oh.
Well, I can do it in two ways. I think this is even more elegant somehow, yeah. And then I'm queening. So that would be the idea of D6. Now, what you could do is you could do something like, obviously there's not a threat yet. So you could maybe do something like knight E8 already. With the idea that if Rook C8, I'll go Rook takes D6, you know, which is gonna which is basically
what
going
about
to work.
D7 though?
D7. Oh, Natasha. Oh my goodness me. The tricks are coming out. Yeah, D7 is very strong. Cursor loonies.
F4's been played, yeah.
F4's been played. Oh my goodness me. All right. Oh my goodness me. Oh. I mean, you could try King E8. It's not crazy. FE knight E4.
Yeah.
And then the question is whether we've got anything Sylvester sneaky here. I mean, that knight on E4 is a little bit short of squares. That's the rather worrying thing. I I mean, I could play a move like rook f4 or rook e1, both of which. I mean, I was vaguely wondering about knight g4, but I was also getting. No, it's probably not true. I was wondering a little bit about something like this, but rook b2 would sort of probably, you know, do the trick somehow, because we got threats on the back rank there. We could. So I just wonder whether this might be possible. But I mean, we could always go, you know, takes. Oh, it's not as good as all that, is it? I mean, takes. I would probably take with the rook on there. Rook b7. I've got myself together now, you know, and that would be fine for black. So maybe king e8, fe, because knight e4. I'm kind of worried about this knight here somehow.
Yeah.
Although I could go maybe knight d2. You know, I've got, as a last resort, I've got a
good way out. Yeah, and that's
square on b3. That wouldn't be so bad. I'm just wondering what this is like. That's the only problem. But I'd assume that you could keep yourself together somehow.
Couldn't you play rook takes c6?
I could do. It's just that I take and I go here, and I'm going to win another pawn either side, and I'm wondering how worrying this is. I mean, maybe not. Maybe we can go for some big counterplay like this. It's possible.
That's nice.
Because rook h7, I've got bishop d7, and then I take this one. That could be dangerous. But these are crazy positions somehow. Yeah, very dangerous. I suppose what I'm looking for, first of all, is something sort of safe-ish.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we'll see whether we can find something more, you know, something with.
They could take on d7.
Yeah, this is similar to what we saw before. I come back to e8 and
then take on g6.
Yeah, then I take on e5. I'm sort of.
You're happy.
And if you go e6, I take on b2, and I'm threatening rook b1, which gains me another tempo. So it could be that this is kind of solid, yeah. Knight there and knight g4. I mean, if I say that, you know, it's a sort of the bullseye principle. I sort of say that's safe, knight g4, and then afterwards, sorry, very English reference there. And then afterwards, I'd maybe look to see whether I could get away with knight e4. Possible we could. Rook f4 was another maybe annoying move. But I go knight d2, and again, I can't see a way to turn this into a win or anything. So maybe this is okay for black, but it's I can imagine that that white was tempted by this somehow. But I think that, bishop b5, d6, that does look a bit streaky, really, but it could be very dangerous. Because I'm threatening this ef. And again, if you go king e8, I'll go takes, and then here, you know, and again, I've got this lovely fg threat. So d6 does look quite strong here. So I can't go knight d7 because I've got rook c8 check. You know, it's a horrible threat, this rook c8, and fe is quite a big annoyance, really. So yeah, I think bishop b5, d6, but I think that king e8 keeps it tight at the back. I mean, presumably I could also.
Oh right,
king d8 is not so crazy because I can do this somehow, yeah.
Just.
But rook f7 is not so pleasant, and I could also just play rook c4, you know, and although it is quite nice that I could play knight g4, and after takes I'd have knight e5.
Yeah.
Rook f8, king e7. So I think there's a few things based around king e8 and hanging on somehow. And I don't think that black's doing fine there. But it's scary, right? It's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Much more scary than I thought, in actual fact. But yeah, I think Amit should be fine, and winning chances for black as well, and obviously better time for black.
Yeah. Should we pop back to Hastings now?
Let's pop back to Hastings. Just get my link. Then off we go. Hey, this has happened. So black didn't take on d4, but white did play f5 anyway. And I think that black was again nervous about this because bishop g5. It's amazing how difficult it is to get to defend this rook somehow. Yeah, it's
knight c7 you can, can't you?
Yeah, you can do it with knight c7. It's just that you're a bit cut off then.
You don't really want your knight on c7.
Yeah, or maybe you just go bishop d3 and threaten bishop there somehow.
Yeah.
And you've also got the possibility of taking on here first and then going queen h5. I don't know whether this is lost somehow, but obviously it feels a little bit worrying.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it?
Don't necessarily want to do that.
Want.
So f5 was played, ef, and then e6 was thrown in, and black has played takes there. So, well, there we are. The queen is kind of closer somehow. So if I go queen h5 check, king d7, queen f7, I think that's fairly natural. Bishop e7, this is where the action is about to start, I guess. So if I go bishop g5,
yeah,
I think queen d8 feels nice because then you could start bothering the queen.
D1.
Yeah, then I've got knight c7, and I think I'm curling up in a ball here. And I'm going to be playing queen f8 to annoy you. I think that's going to be annoying. I don't see how you'd make that work somehow. But okay, what I could do is I could take on or I could go bishop g5 and then take on a6, which would conceivably be absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, how are you defending e6?
I don't know how I'm defending e6. I think the answer is I'm probably not. So,
so this is the end of the world then.
So okay, so I could go rook e8. That's what I could do. And now, if I go rook e1, you might go knight c7. That's possible. So
right,
what I might do then,
a6 again.
bishop a6 again. And then I've got a choice: ba or queen a6. I'm not sure which. Let's say queen a6. Rook e1, threatening that.
c5. Yeah.
Then c5. Exactly at this moment.
Okay.
If I go d takes c5, most likely.
Yes.
And then the question is, how are you going to get out of this? You could go king d8, because after rook e6, you've got very many ideas, but you could play feels like the most sneaky. So king d8 actually there looks like a decent idea.
Okay.
I mean, I could go queen g7. I'm a pawn down still. Black's okay here. I mean, takes here. I think black's going to claim that he's better here, I think. So this looks like the key idea.
Right, so
queen h5 check has been played. So king d7.
King d7, queen f7, bishop e7. Right, stop here.
So what I might do, I might play the move bishop a6, because if queen b4, I might have bishop b4.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit cleaner. I would think. And I could maybe play the move rook g1 here and look to come around here, for example.
Yeah, that looks...
I mean, I don't know how that's looking, to be honest, because king d8, rook g7 looks quite fun. Yeah. But then I've got some old checkeroonies here. But maybe I'm escaping. But maybe not. But maybe I am.
You don't know. But that white's threatening mate there, I think that's... Isn't that just...
That was looking quite good. But I mean, there might be some other moves before. But bishop a6, so maybe we go b takes a6, just to make sure that's... But okay, then we've weakened ourselves a little bit. And probably what we try and do, we go rook e1 first.
We could go rook g1. Oh, rook e1 first. Yes, okay. And then...
Because then you go c5. But then if I play d takes c5, I do it with tempo.
Yeah.
But you go queen c6, and I'm still feeling I'm solid somehow. I'm still feeling unsolid here. What I could do, I could also go bishop a5, but then you'll go queen c6 as well. And as I said, I'm still feeling the solidity there.
So what did you say? Rook e1, c5.
C.
Yeah. Okay, instead of rook e1, rook g1.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting
Oh,
move.
are you taking on d4?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, rook g7 is still a possibility. Although, yeah, I mean, it's not... there's a limit to how much extra pressure I can put on the bishop because I'm going to get checked, you know, to kingdom come.
You can't get checked, actually, because the rook's defending that square.
Yeah, but if I play bishop g5, then...
No, don't play that. Then you will get checked.
Well, I don't know whether it's bad. I mean, it might just be a draw by repetition, you know, which you never know, might be the best theoretical outcome. But I'm just wondering... I'm just wondering if I went rook e1, for example, you know, because the idea would be I would want to go c5, bishop b5 check. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
So then black would go knight c7.
Yeah.
But what I could maybe do then is to go bishop f4.
Okay.
With the idea of bishop takes and then rook e6.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's not, well, queen e6 even. It's not 100% clear, though. I mean, I could go... I mean, to be honest, stuff like takes, queen f6, takes would be quite interesting. I've got 4 pawns for the piece.
Go back. So takes... So it's queen f6 here, so this is the position.
Yeah. You can't do anything else. You've got to take it off. You've got to take the queen.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be winning for black, right? I think,
yeah.
You know, with 4 pawns for the piece and that enormous wedge.
Yeah.
That looks quite good. So you've got to be, yeah, you've got to be careful. But I think rook e1, knight c7 looks... The only thing is this queen is a little bit short of squares. That's why I'm sort of wondering whether I could find something unbelievably attractive. You know, and a4, a5 quickly, or but I'm not sure. Probably not, I would have thought. And bishop g5, yeah, rook e8. You know, at the very least, you know, we're very solid here. So I do think that bishop a6 feels like the right move. But then ba, rook e1. Rook e8, sorry, c5, or rook g1. Quite interesting. You could play rook f8 as well, by the way. You are covering d4 then, but you have stopped the rook from coming into g7.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah. White could switch plans and go on to the h file.
I could go f4, for example, and stop your bishop from coming out to here. So 100% sure about. Well, I could go bishop, maybe, yeah, bishop g5, rook e8 is not very clear. Yeah, rook e1. Yeah, rook e1 looks like the best. c5. Then I would say d takes c5, queen c6, and then, well, okay, but maybe what I can do here now is I go play the move king b1, for example. Oh no, not king b1, maybe king d1. And the idea is if king d8, I go rook takes c6.
Yeah.
And if bishop g5, I have got rook c6 because you don't have rook e1 checkmate. That's why I'm not putting my king to b1.
What? Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
But I'm not sure. I mean, how long? I mean, if black plays a move like d4, for example, I don't really know. I suppose I could pick up the pawn on g7. I'm just 1 pawn down, but still.
Yeah, but if you manage to get the one on d4, you're looking good.
Yeah, but I could go queen d5, for example. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I suspect that white is not winning this.
Yeah. Should we look at Stanley's game?
Yep.
Against Stevie
okay.
Gordon.
So Stevie Gordon kept the queens on somehow, so he played, or maybe no, Stevie Gordon chose to keep the queens on. So h3, a6 played. So suddenly didn't want to play this move of e4. He played b3, b5, bishop e2, and now queen e7. So quite interesting, this. Normally speaking, this knight would prefer to be on d7. That's the best structure for these things, but it maybe doesn't make so much difference. Actually, you know, Stevie played quite aggressively there with knight b4. And rook d8.
Yeah, I was going to say that, it's threatening a tempo.
So yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I think Black's doing quite well here. Yeah. Actually, doing fine. So a4 played, interesting. Rook fd8, queen e1, and yeah, Stevie took on f3. Bishop f3 obviously allows knight d3, so g takes f3 played, and yeah, now b takes a4 played. Interesting, that one. You do sort of wonder whether. Well, I mean, I'm sure this is the.
What if Stevie did a different plan instead of taking? If he just went into d3 with the knight and tried to.
Yeah, could have done. You would have probably taken, and I guess gone a takes b5. That also looks quite interesting for for Black.
I guess
maybe he was worried about some knight e5 first. Maybe knight e5 first, and then AB. It's possible, that you're threatening some knight c6. So but yeah. I mean, Black's definitely for choice here. Black's definitely got some ideas. The question is how you sort of build up. How you sort of build up some play on the king side. That's how you're sort of thinking about it. And just wondering what the idea is of BA. Obviously, knight a4 is something that you'd be thinking about as white. And then does Black have a cunning idea here? I'm not sure.
There's a request for Valentina's game after this. I'm just trying to find. Oh, there we are. That would be board 18.
Okay. Not sure. Not sure after knight takes a4, to be honest. Not sure what Black's idea is here. So if you play bishop d6, things have got calmed down a little bit. Maybe the rook comes to c4. I mean, there's also going to be some attacking chances for white here somehow. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about those last two moves really from Stevie. I would have maybe hoped for, maybe thought you could have developed some attack some other way, but I'm not quite sure how. Knight d3, getting the two bishops does feel like a good start, but not quite sure. We had a request for
Valentina. So I think that is board 18. Or you can
Belgian player, Yashwardhan Shankar against Valentina Verbin.
Yes.
I think I saw that Valentina played Tim Grutter and drew, I think.
Okay.
Drew in the first round. So she's had some good results, actually. Drew with 2 IMs and lost to Alex Golding, then beat a lower-rated player, now playing a lower-rated player again. Do you know who Valentina is?
I'm just looking her up.
I've never heard the name.
Valentina Verbin, born 2002, from Moldova.
From Moldova. Sorry, I was thinking Belgium, but no, of course that's the Moldovan flag. It's quite tiny. Black is just better here, I think. So I would expect anyway. So I mean, the queen attacking rook on a1. So queen a3 is going to be played, and the big idea is bishop b4. So if you go rook b7, I'll go bishop b4 here, and you can't get back to pin this. So I mean, I suppose the big question is whether, well, yeah, I suppose the question is whether bishop d2 is possible.
Okay.
And whether there's going to be some threats coming in and hitting you. I was sort of assuming that something like rook b8 at the very least, would be interesting. Just all of a sudden, I just thought, oh, would it be possible to take and then go h5.
Oh, this looks like a counterattack, doesn't it?
This is definitely a counterattack. I mean, most likely it would never be, even in the best case scenario, it would probably only be a draw, I think. Most likely.
Well, because I'm looking at like taking on c3 and seeing.
Yeah, for example. So I've got two possibilities. First of all, I've got a draw by repetition here always.
Yeah.
What I could also do is to play the move hg with the idea of king h6, king g8, rook h8 check. Choppington and Mays.
Oh my goodness.
Only what I could do, I could just go king g7 here,
Yes.
and I'm not sure that we've got anything. We haven't got a
draw,
bishop.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just a draw simply.
Oh, is this all forced though?
No, it's not all forced. No. But it's just yeah.
Yeah.
After hg, it's forced, but obviously after h5.
But even
I mean,
before,
rook f5 might be an idea just to block.
Yeah.
But I guess we go hg, and well, I think there's definitely the potential for
because
danger.
if you go king takes, there's g4.
Yeah, or even queen g3 could be very, very strong as well. With rook h7s and queen g6s.
So the position on the board is after queen takes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a bit surprised if this was going to be working for white, I have to say, but
I guess you don't have to play rook a b8.
No. You could play. I mean, a move like bishop c3 is possible. Simply, the idea being that if bishop c3, then we go rook b8, and that should be a lot more friendly for black because obviously takes h5. I mean, we've even got some rook b1 ideas, or even rook f5 would be somewhat friendlier. Here we've got here as well, for example. So bishop takes c3 would be much more possible. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's the pawn? Actually, white's a pawn up here, bizarrely enough. Yeah, white's a pawn up here. So that would not be particularly clear. I was thinking that black was going to be way better here, but this move bishop d2 is surprisingly interesting. What else could we do? What else could we do? Well, I don't know whether. Yeah, this idea of rook h7 and surprisingly interesting somehow. Yeah, I don't know. This is quite interesting. I was just assuming that the rook b7, bishop b4 would be really strong, but it's not really that clear at all, it looks like. I mean, I don't know. You're always looking for some ideas like this, but they don't particularly seem to be very impressive, I have to say. And I mean, white can always go rook b1, rook b3. I mean, that's going to be all right. How strange. Yeah, no, I mean, white seems to be doing fine here with some threats as well. So, yeah, pretty unclear maybe the position. Not the win that I thought we were going to see. Realized white was a pawn up actually. Yeah, that's also the case. Yeah, I mean, I was vaguely looking at knight d4 and bishop c5 here, but I mean, there's not really any threats here at all. So it's nothing in particular. Interesting, complicated position, but It looks to me like White's rook b1 played. White is actually doing quite decently after this.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, pin on. What about Kenneth?
Oh, Kenneth, yes. So playing not the Wang Hao, but a Wang Hao. So this has been some sort of Vienna, Bishop's Gambit, Vienna, where Black fairly quickly takes on c4 here, and you get this sort of pawn structure, like a Maroczy bind, really, but with double pawns. I think we saw Supratit playing one of these as Black and doing fairly well with it, actually. One sort of structure like this. Kenneth's doing a pretty decent job as well, I think. I mean, White's knight gets to f5, but you can just take that with the bishop. And the only question, I think, for both players is where to put the king. And maybe just the way that the structure has gone, Kenneth is a little bit more worried than White because there's h4 coming in.
Okay, yeah.
So at some stage, I think Kenneth might be thinking about playing a move like d5, maybe now even, actually. How about that?
All right, breaking in the center. So if
I mean, we're threatening d4.
D4 is going to be big, so you have to take.
I think you're going to have to take twice, actually. I don't think you get away from doing that.
Yeah.
Now, if you took on there, there is the possibility that you might be able to play knight h5, which is rather sneaky. Takes here.
Yeah, that looks great for it.
That'd be quite nasty somehow. So yeah, that looks right. So but you would take with the knight. So I have to take, and I guess we're going to swap off a pair of rooks just to reduce the attacking force there.
I'm just thinking you can still do your knight h5 move, can't you? And it's still
I'm wondering how good that is. That knight is definitely annoying. I don't know whether that knight is really, really good, or whether it's just optically irritating. But I think it's definitely going to cause some practical worry. Because where do you actually go? I mean, king e7 is what I'm vaguely thinking of, I suppose. Intending to play f6.
Okay, because I was going to go h4, but your f6 might.
Castles and then f6. Yeah, c4, bishop e6. How bad is this? How good is this? Feels a little bit loose for Black, but on the other hand, you get yourself sorted. There won't be that much of a problem, I don't think.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I'm not sure whether d5 immediately is the right way, but I'm a little bit worried that h4 is going to come in. I'm going to start getting nibbled, and then I'm going to regret, not having taken the time to play d5 before, because it is in general not a bad moment for it. I mean, I sort of wonder whether, I guess, could it even have been played before, actually? I suppose you were. Well, I mean, knight d5, queen e5 is possible, but maybe you could have gone bishop d5 there, for example. Which doesn't look too bad. Castles, maybe. They're weird positions somehow. I keep on. They feel a bit like a Sicilian. I feel like White, Black should just be should almost be better even. There's just a few awkward points to it, but maybe you could just do like this, and knight g3 just sidestep and then go bishop e6. Yeah, I wonder whether d5 was possible in that position. It's a natural move, at least. I suppose what you could do, you could take and go queen e5, d takes c4 and rook d8, maybe here, and then a knight coming in there. Could be irritating. Strange position. But oh, he's gone b5. Wow, that's also an interesting idea. Very active player, Kenneth. So that's a very interesting idea as well. So AB, presumably AB, CB, and then I guess CB. Even D5 is not impossible to contemplate, but probably Queen C5 would be rather annoying. So CB. So if you were to go Knight B5, I would probably check you and then play D5. I think that would be Kenneth's dream idea, basically. D4 coming in. If I've got Knight D5 and then Queen takes C3 there. I guess White's not going to do that. Yeah. So let's say castles. And then I'm guessing B4.
Yep.
And then
Knight B.
Yeah, Knight D5 is one possibility. I'm wondering vaguely about Knight B5 actually.
Yeah,
it's
Knight
kind
B5.
of, but I guess we could just go Queen B8 there without too much worry. It's a bit awkward, that knight is slightly awkwardly placed. So okay, if I win Knight D5, I'm not sure which one to take with. Takes. This knight gets into F5, but if I take, black gains a tempo and my knight gets into E4. But yeah, how serious is this? I'm not sure. I mean, I could go bishop C8 here, for example. Knight H5. I could maybe simply castle, play F6 after. Wow, what a position. It's quite complicated. Quite complicated. I'm not sure. It could be decent for black. It could be not very good. I'm just not very sure, really. So very complicated in any case.
Okay.
I'm wondering, just wondering as well whether takes, maybe you should take with a C pawn, because I'm wondering after AB whether C5 might be interesting. Just trying to punch a little hole into the, but maybe it's not that worrying. Maybe I just go castles and then take on C. Well, H4. Oh God, complicated, really unusual position this. So lots for both players to think about, I think.
I was thinking let's pop in back to Simon Williams.
Absolutely. Oh.
Oh.
Let's have a look at this.
They still haven't played very many moves, have they?
No, Simon's thinking a lot, although he hasn't, in all fairness. He's played very, very quickly. So Knight D2, played takes, Queen C7, E4. Actually, White's very happy here. He's just got a big space advantage all across the board. The only thing is, maybe you'd sort of say, well, did I really need my H pawn on H4? Maybe I would have wanted it on here to be able to play H3, but you can't have everything. And indeed, he used it to cram black. And actually, even, I mean, HG is quite a threat. H6 would also have been a threat. So black played bishop H6 to get ahead of that, stop H6 from happening, and also block the H file. So Simon took and played bishop E2, bishop D7, and now G4.
Gosh, yeah.
And black is in a little bit of trouble here, or at the very least, he's got a little bit of hard thinking to do. Because we've got a threat of G5.
Yeah, and you can't defend it with G5. Yeah.
I will chop and go G5, and there is a beam.
Ooh. Oh gosh, so is black in real trouble actually?
I think black might be losing a piece actually.
Black's already. Yeah. What if they take on G4? Oh no, you. Excuse me, you lose.
Well, yeah, take on G4. We've got many ways, but even just taking and taking here would be very strong. I think black's just losing a piece here, isn't he?
I think so.
I suspect he is.
Yes. Okay. What about? I'm sure this won't work, but castle long. G5, and no, it's not going to work. I was going to take it and try and do something, but white
No, I
can
mean,
so long whenever he wants to.
the only thing I can think of vaguely is that you try and throw in a c4, and somehow distract, because if queen c4 takes, you'd have bishop g4. You know, you could do that. So we need to find a square for the queen. Only I suspect that there's quite a few good ones, unfortunately.
But because even if you go queen h3, they can't go bishop g7.
Yeah, but then you'd be pinned, so you wouldn't have g5.
Right.
And if you go to f3, then I've got bishop g4. And if you go to g3, then I've got knight e4. So I've got a few. Only I suspect that after c4, we can just go queen d4.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't think of a good way to follow up. I mean, you would love to be able to somehow do something like this, but after rook h8, you know, you'd need a good. Oh,
What? You got a good?
No. It's always nice. I thought knight e8, you know, and the queen can't defend the rook, but of course the bishop is defending the rook.
Yeah,
so that's. I could go knight h5 though. No, knight h5. There's rook check. That's right. Yeah. No,
yeah.
sorry. I'm desperately trying to get excited here, but I think the black's just losing. Because I mean, also now when the queen on d4, it can also come out to a7, which is not a bad way to sidestep any amazing things you might come up with. So no, I think this is totally lost, I'm afraid. I think.
Shall we see how Peter Finn is doing against Serranis?
Oh, good lord! Rook f7.
Oh,
what? No, that can't be. Surely not. No, those last two moves are not legal somehow. So
okay.
I'm not quite sure what it is. So because rook d6 leaves the rook en prise and rook f7 leaves the rook en prise as well. So I'm not quite sure about that. But let's have a look. So what is this position? So white is a pawn down. Has the 7th rank, quite active bishop, slightly more active pieces. Obviously, knight v knight, rook. But the question is, what can white make of this? Black does have a very handy check on the king on b1, which is going to be quite irritating. It's going to help black an awful lot to keep control. And what you would say as well is that there's this idea of maybe after first capturing to go bishop b4 just to swap off the bishops as well, you know. So there's quite a few. There's also queen f5 takes f2. So there's quite a few incidental tactics there which make you think that maybe black is going to be doing quite okay in this position. But white does have a possible knight takes c6. Interesting. So let's have a look. I don't think there's anything particularly where you'd say white is going to make. Rook e7 is actually the thing I'd look at first of all, just with the idea that if you go queen e7, I might go knight c6.
Oh, how does this work?
Choppy and then takes here.
Oh, yeah.
And if bishop f2, well, I can do various things. Rook e2, queen c6 also is possible. I'd probably be white would be a little bit better there, I think. So the question is whether you could go bishop e7, then I go knight c6 again. And of course, if bc, well, is this rook e5 could be dangerous. How dangerous? Interesting. Not clear. Just wondering about this because bc queen a6. What I was thinking was that there could be a queen g2 then, you see, and you're defending c6 and wrecking white's pawns a little bit. That's why I was wondering about it. But so bc. Okay, let's have a look. Queen e6, king there. Now, the big annoyance is that queen g6 check is a threat. So if you go queen here, for example, I could go here.
And how's that? Oh, a piece black's just winning.
Well, not really. I mean, I could go bishop g7, king g7. I've got 3 pawns for the piece, but you know, it'll be equality at best. So, but what I could try is I could try the move rook e5 with the idea of queen g6, rook f5 check.
Haha, crafty.
But I'm not sure really. I mean, bishop f6 is possible, although moves like g4 look kind of awkward, really. You know, I'm protecting this one. If you take there, obviously there's no more pins, so I can do that. And I'm threatening stuff like queen g6 and bishop f6. I'm not sure about that one. Need some consideration. But I could go king e8. And then queen g8, there's just king d7 here, and that's going to end up being quite decent for black. So I guess that's not really working. So yeah, I wonder, what if I played a different move? Would I have something more special? It's kind of I mean, this queen f5 is quite a nice resource. It protects you from an awful lot of things. And obviously, I mean, black's also threatening just to go knight c5 or even knight c7. And these tricks are going to be disappearing. So I would imagine really that you would need to do something fairly fast.
Mm.
I'm just wondering whether could I go. No, I mean, knight c6 wouldn't improve. Not in the slightest. So let's just have a quick look at this again. Takes, queen a6, then going queen g2. But I could go queen b7 there, hitting these two guys. So rook e8 is necessary. Queen d7 or queen d7. Oh, it's been played actually. Bishop b7, knight c6,
Okay.
takes c6. Yeah. So I think here is going to be played, and then queen b7, rook e8, and then maybe, well, okay, I mean, white can try and play queen a7, defend that guy.
Yeah.
Or you could play queen d7 and attack this one. The only thing you would say is that after queen d7, I have got check, which defends everything. And then
That's
I can maybe play a move like bishop c5. That could be useful. And threatening f2 and also defending a7. So maybe white really would take on a7 there. I could take on h2, but then maybe I go queen d7. That would be the idea, which is kind of awkward. Yeah, so I think this is what white's going to do. B takes c6 played, so queen a6, queen g2, queen b7, and then yeah. I mean, I suppose what you could also do with black, I mean, I like the idea of wrecking the pawns. I could go give a check again and then take like this, where I'm defending the, but then I've got queen c6 and I'm attacking these guys, so that does not feel good. So yeah, I do think that queen g2 is the best, but let's move queen b7 and then queen takes a7. Looks a little bit awkward. I'm not sure whether black's really worse, but it's yeah, I mean, there's a potential for plenty of play. Maybe queen d5 is a good move. Go bishop f8 to defend the pawn. Your king's just a bit weaker. I mean, white's king is safer. I think that's why I'm tending to think that white might be a little bit better here. Yeah. But okay, it's an unclear position here somehow. But maybe white's a little better due to the safer king. Okay. Let's have a look. How's Danny doing? Oh, yes. Danny's got a bit of a bind, to put it mildly. Bishop on a8 is looking very rough indeed. The only question is whether, as always, the question is how do you improve things more? I guess Danny's going to maybe play knight g6 and put the bishop on e5 there. That would be quite a good way to go about. And then you could even move and get even more of a bind somehow. And
has Danny won Hastings before? I'm trying to remember.
Danny, I don't think so. I don't think so. No. I'm not sure. We'll have to look at it on. It doesn't spring to mind somehow, but
it'd be nice to see him win, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's always always good to see the the true professionals win stuff simply, because it takes a lot of toughness and a lot of courage to play chess professionally. It really is a tough profession somehow. So it's good for the success to be shared out, somehow. Simon has won in 15 moves. So
Simon. Yes.
The Raptor proved as dangerous as its name. So I just have a quick look at my friend Tim from Amersfoort. He drew with Kopchan? Oh my goodness!
Wow.
He had this position where he was pinned to the back rank somehow, but he managed to draw that one. That was a great result. And well, position's very equal now in this game against Martin Niels. Those flags look almost the same, but they're twisted. This is a French, or Niels Martin, actually, will probably be the French thing. So, perfectly fine position for black, but not much happening, really. So, going to be a tough one, that one. But great that he managed to hold the draw against the Ukrainian Grandmaster Alexander Kovchan, because that looked like a pretty rough position. How's Stanley doing? Let's have a look. Stanley is up on time. So that is good news. King G2 played. Interesting.
So we were quite liking Stevie Gordon's position earlier, and then we weren't sure about a couple of moves.
We weren't sure about how he was going to get his pieces sort of active somehow. This move King G2 is quite interesting. I would normally have expected the king to go to H1 somehow, but not 100% clear. You'd also maybe think about Rook D1 simply, and then just try and play the Queen to C3. That. So I don't think anything's happening to you if you do this. That looks all right. Rook D1 looks quite natural, but Stanley
What's
playing
Stanley
King
trying
G2
with King G2? Just
I'm not sure really.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure. Because black might play Knight D3 now, surely. Takes.
Take on A5.
Maybe you just do take on A5. Yeah, I was. It's just that the king just gets exposed to Queen B7 checks. It might not be anything, but it just feels a bit strange to do that. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I would have put it either on H1 or just not moved it at all somehow. But this doesn't look, unless there's some real tactics. The only thing I'm sort of thinking a Queen on D5 will now fork the two. That's why I'm. But maybe there's no tactics at all there. Maybe this is just absolutely fine.
Because White's threatening to go Knight C6 next.
Yeah, I mean, and if you take on here, then there's not going to be anything at all. There's no. I don't think there's any particular danger on here, and you've also got Bishop F6 to swap off the knight. So
yeah. Maybe Stanley just wants his king. He wants to swap things off and then put his king on F3 in the end game or something.
Maybe it's a bit weird. I would have thought Rook D1. I mean, I'm not even sure that maybe Knight D5 was worrying him a little bit. B3 is a little bit weak, but I'm not sure. Don't quite follow that King G2 somehow. But okay, we'll see how it goes. It's just there's also stuff like Knight D5, Bishop F4. It just feels I'm exposing myself to tactics somehow. That's all. But it's I'm sure it'll just all turn out fine. And I just turned out to be old and panicky. Let's have a look. We're nearly at the end of our streaming time. Have you got some ones you'd like to have a look at before we leave? Oh, Badana. Let's have a little look at Badana. Another rook ending, of course.
Oh, it was a knight ending last round.
It was a knight
it?
ending, yes, but another ending.
Another ending.
Badana just keeps them coming, doesn't she? This one should be drawn, really, I would have thought.
Well, so should the last one, shouldn't it? The one in the previous round. Yeah,
exactly.
But she won it.
Yeah. This is.
I mean, pull off the same feat twice in a row.
Indeed. I mean, if anyone should be a little bit better here, it should be black with the the 2 pawns and rook on the 7th. But
Yes.
I don't think that it shouldn't. I don't think you've got enough control really to be able to keep this together really. But we'll see. We'll see how Badana does this somehow. It's a bigger challenge for white than for black, of course. So
yeah,
it's.
What about Rukaya? Sure. Let's see how she's.
Rukaya. Let's have a look at Rukaya.
RUQ.
Rukaya reader. Oh, so
another ending.
Another ending. She's a pawn up, but black's actually got some quite decent looking counterplay coming with rook e2. So not going to be easy for white this one. I think black's probably
white
doing all.
Play rook to e4 just to stop the rook.
Yeah, but then we'll chop a Rooney and go rook here, and after rook e1 we'll just go f5.
Yeah,
get the pawn back. So I suspect that black's doing pretty fine in this position somehow. So not really that easy at all. Not quite sure how white should.
C4. What about c4?
I'll go b4. Yeah, I was looking at going a4 somehow, and b4, maybe c3, but yeah, I don't know. This is.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be quite decent for black, whatever happens.
Yeah. Maybe rook b1 here.
Yeah, I mean, this is maybe this is the sort of thing we need to do. I'm a bit worried about looking at it now about b3, to be honest. That's which is rather pinning you down to the back rank there. It's just you desperately need some squares for your rook. You need some open files. You could try rook h3. That is maybe possible, and rook here. Not crazy.
Oh yeah.
It just feels a little bit desperate somehow. Maybe I just say, okay, well, we both got passive rooks, and I've got one active one. I'm not sure.
What would Grace play?
Sorry.
Grace Wild. She's good with getting her rooks active.
She's good with her rooks, indeed. Yeah, I don't know. I think positions. I don't think black's
a little bit tricky.
Worse
yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Shall we?
We've by the way, everyone, we've got a Talented Tuesday tonight at 7 o'clock, right? So we're doing a premiere there. So if you're well, drop everything that you're doing and come and join us for the premiere at 7 o'clock on the ECF website. A really nice Sicilian attack by Kenneth Hobson, who's featured here.
Who's here? Yes.
So,
excellent.
Do take a look at that, and otherwise, thanks very much for joining, and well, hope to see you in a few more streams in the coming days.
Thank you very much.